This stock just crashed, and in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why I'm buying it. I picked up Humana shares today. The ticker symbol traded on the market is HUM. I picked up 3 shares today at $198 in the long-term portfolio. Now, after the pickup today, the stock did continue to sell off a little bit, but with trading today, I am thinking that this was capitulation, which is basically where, a bottom gets set, and, this happens because, buyers basically gave up. They stopped stepping in the market. Sellers, were just selling the stock for no reason. So that's what capitulation is. And today, the stock absolutely got hammered. Yesterday, it was down over 20%, and then today over 6%. So with volatility events like this, you usually see a 3-day reaction. That's usually what I call it, the 3-day rule, right? When you get a big event on a stock, it usually takes about 3 days for it to fully process through everything, right? That's kind of how volatility works, and it takes time for certain events to just kind of work their way through the market. So tomorrow, right, is Thursday. It's going to be day 3, and we're going to see. Maybe we get a huge bounce, right? Maybe there's continued selling, but for right now, the stock is looking attractive. And in this video, I'm going to, break down my thesis, what's going on, why I bought it. So here we go. So what is Humana? All right, you're probably asking, HUM, I never heard of this company. What is this? Why is Rob buying this company? So what is Humana? Humana is a health insurance company that focuses on seniors age 65 plus, and most of their revenue comes from Medicare Advantage plans. So you're probably wondering now, so what is this Medicare and Medicare Advantage plan? So Medicare is a government health insurance for people age 65 and older. Now, right, if you're a W-2 employee, right, and you'll kind of see on your pay stubs that you're actually paying in to Medicare each paycheck. And eventually when you hit age 65, right, a part of your health insurance will be covered by Medicare, which is part A. That is inpatient hospital stays. Okay. So then, right, this is where Medicare Advantage comes in. You have these different parts of Medicare, and I'm not going to create this whole video about what is Medicare. You can look into it more, but there's different parts, A, B, C, D. And Medicare Advantage, right, it is government funded health insurance, okay? But instead of the government running it themselves, the government pays private insurance companies like Humana a fixed amount per senior to manage their health care. So essentially, right, to break Humana down very simply, right, whatever is left over after the medical cost, right, they incurred for individuals on their plans, and whatever is left over after the government payments is their profit. So you take government payments, subtract out medical cost, right? And that's essentially their profit, to break it down super simply. Now, I've actually been looking at Humana for over a year now, and I originally started to look at this stock in 2024, right? Believe it or not. But originally Humana, right, also back in the past got a like 20% down drop in one day. Now this was based on their star ratings. Okay. Now I would advise you to look back in that, right? That was over a year ago. You can look on what caused that drop. But basically what happened was other opportunities came up, and we took advantage of those. And the stock basically traded, I would say sideways, but it was pretty volatile, right? Traded in a huge range for all of, 2024, 2025, and then now just recently, right, with this most recent news, we're actually breaking down out of that range. Okay, so I've been looking at this name for a while now, and I finally added to it because it's at a price that I just could not ignore. And patience rewards yourself. I mean, patience pays, baby. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, I've been looking at this name since 2024, and I finally just added to it, which is great, because if I added to it before, well, one, we'd be in the red, and it would have been dead money for over a year. So, All right, here we are today, right? Having 3 shares of Humana at an entry price today of 198. Now, I'm going to start to explain the drop simply to everyone, and I'll say it like this, okay? So, United States government pays private insurance companies to manage Medicare Advantage plans for seniors. Now, recently, just yesterday, the Trump administration came out and said, hey, the rates that we pay for these plans, you know, we're going to lower it, you know, and those payments, right, the expectations, right, were higher than what actually the Trump administration said. So the payments came in worse than expected, which means they're going to be getting less money from the government. And also, medical costs have been running higher than what Humana has projected. So you combine both of those factors, and it's been hitting their top and bottom line, and the street is panicking. So Humana is heavily concentrated in Medicare Advantage, okay, and that's why their stock has continued to get hit today, because not only has Humana sold off, but also United Healthcare on this news. United Healthcare was also down 20% yesterday, but their business is a little bit more diversified, while Humana is really concentrated in Medicare Advantage plans. So when the government reimbursement rates or medical costs rise, it gets hit extremely hard, and that's exactly what we're seeing. So the market is afraid of the loss of revenue and profit, so the stock is literally crashing. I mean, it's breaking down from this range. It's breaking key levels on, from a chart standpoint, on the technical analysis, key support levels, and right, buyers are not stepping, and you're seeing short sellers coming in, real, sellers getting scared. So the stock is crashing, but we bought it today at $198, and now I'm going to talk about some of the reasons I invested. I've broken down, kind of. I'm doing this all simply, right? Because I can't go, deep into everything. But, so far I talked about what is Humana. I've actually been looking at it for over a year. I explained the drop to you, and now I want to talk to you about the reasons I invested. So, Humana is a good long-term business with temporary problems, right? All of this stuff about the rates and the amount of money they're going to get from the government and medical costs, all of these are temporary problems. Medicare Advantage and Medicare is not going to go away. There's no fundamental problems with the business, right? The business is still going to be here, and we have an aging population, and we always will. I mean, right now, I don't know if you've ever heard the term, but it's the great wealth transfer, and that's because of all the baby boomers, right? You know, passing away, getting older, and eventually that wealth is going to be shifted to the next generation. So right now we have an extreme, population of people that are thus such age 65 and over and on Medicare, and we always will because as population growth in the United States, increases, right? We'll always have individuals that are in that age bracket, right, 65 and older, and the government will continue to pay these companies, to manage these plans more efficiently. And right now, right, at $198, we're buying the stock at 2016 stock prices. Now, I do have a video on this channel, how to invest for the long term, and one of the criteria that I always look for is buying at 5-year lows. Okay, I like to be able to get a deep discount on a name, and right, we're talking about 2016. Okay, that is the last time you saw the stock trading at these levels. Now, to be fair, you don't just buy a stock because it's sold off or it's cheap, right? Because there's usually a reason for it, and it could keep going down. But in the case of Humana, as I explained to you, right, this is a short-term problem, and the stock is at such a deep discount on all metrics. I mean, you can look at the PE, the forward PE, everything, historical, market cap, everything is just setting this up to be an amazing buy. I love buying fear in the market. It always pays out, you know, generously. The return on investment is always great. And this was my starter position. I'd never bought Humana before, so usually what happens is when I see, a company I like and it's at a really good price, I'll enter the market and I'll say, okay, I'm going to buy some shares, which is usually one monthly deposit. Shout out, watch the video how, to invest in the stock market. I do monthly deposits, and right, sometimes I stack them up and have cash, but my starter positions are usually always one monthly deposit. And that's exactly what I did here. We picked up 3 shares at 198, so it came out to be about, one of our monthly deposits. And I'm going to continue to add to this position if the opportunity presents itself, right? Say potentially next month or in the future, right? Right, if the stock keeps dropping or stands at the current levels, right? I'm going to keep assessing the current situation with the company and their financials, and I'll more than likely add to it. So, obviously, what's going to be big from here is the earnings reports that are coming out. Right, we're going to have to actually see, right, the financials that are coming out, their earnings, revenue, profit, and also, right, the story behind the Trump admin and the rates they're going to pay. Maybe this possibly shifts, right? Maybe they backpedal a little bit and they raise the rates. That's all to be determined. But right now, you're getting a, how do I say it? Knee jerk reaction? Is that what they say? Something like that? Knee jerk reaction in the market. The market's repricing everything, all the risk. But at the same time, right, extreme fears in the market, as you can see in the stock price and the trade in action. Just watching it today on the intraday. Watching the order book and everything, it was getting ridiculous. I had to step in there, place a limit order, buy some shares. And guys, that's what I got for you, right? New pickup in the long-term portfolio. I'm excited. We've been doing absolutely fantastic last year, right? You can look back on all the videos and the post I made. All the long-term picks are in the green, over about like 15%, all of them. And I'm excited for 2026 and what that has, right? If we can add to our existing positions, if we pick up new names. But for right now, this is the new name that I bought, a stock that is crashing, and here's why I am buying it. And guys, I hope you enjoyed the background gameplay, right? This is kind of new to the channel. Normally I record myself talking, maybe I'll record some stock charts, throw up some pictures, but I want to switch it up a bit, give you guys maybe something to focus on that was more eye grabbing, something you can fixate on while I talk about, right? Stocks and all that and finance. So I am playing here Modern Warfare 2, and hopefully this gameplay wasn't too awful and makes you want to be like, what the heck is this guy doing? But I was getting noob-tubed and quick-scoped, and it was extremely frustrating. But I'm throwing back on some retro games. We had a big snowstorm recently, so I stayed inside, and I was basically just gaming. And I said, hey, you know what? Let's just record some of this gameplay and talk over it and give the people another long-term video. So guys, that's what I have for you. Stay safe out there, right? Make small good decisions, right? Get yourself a long-term portfolio if you don't have it. We make money both ways, when the market's going up, when the market's going down. But that's what I got for you, the new long-term edition. Peace out.